Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Casey, where we talk about market strategies, market conditions. There are changing strategies and there are changing conditions. It is a very serious market. We have our inventory is starting to build, our buyer pools are starting to soften. I was just telling my team that I went to Oakton to list a house, and of the 21 homes that are currently there's 21 homes on the market, none have sold. There's only one that was pending. When I looked at it, it had been on the market for 104 days and it had four price drops. It has since settled, and I saw that it started at 2.1 million and it just sold for 1.65. So this is a really tough market, and this is going to require, in fact, not kind of, in my mind, I think people are committing real estate um, malpractice. And let me walk you through it. So malpractice, yes. People putting houses on the market, not doing what it takes to sell them, yes. 21 out of 21 homes sitting on the market unsold, yes, that's malpractice. 1.5 to 3 million, go on MLS right now and check it. Oakton. Nothing on the market, guys. So here's what we need to know. Now, if a seller is in Loudoun County, no problem. Pharisee Ways is in Loudoun County. Kelly's out in Loudoun County. They are both strong on these protocols. We do these guardrails every day on every listing, and there's no exceptions. We don't break protocol, or we don't take the listing. We stay with our protocols. The sellers are happy. Everything goes well. So yes, in Loudoun County, these 6 guardrails are put in place for every listing. Kelly will do it. Ferris will do it. They're experts in that market area. Johnny G is out in Prince William County, locked down. Can't get a better agent than Johnny G. So these 6 guardrails are in tune. If you're in Fairfax County or around this area, Arlington, we've got plenty of agents around here that handle it. And I mean some of the top agents. But I will tell you this, when you're talking to an agent to list a house, you really, really, really need to make sure they're talking about 6 guardrails to do it. Because, to be honest with you, over the last 5 years, Uncle Bob could list your house and pretty much going to sell. Might not make as much money, but it's going to sell. I mean, somewhere it's going to sell. I'm going to go over the 6 things that you need to do. You can look at this and you can read this. And if you want a copy, this will be on tape. But it's very, very simple. The first thing that you need to do is prep the home. Now, the seller doesn't want to paint. I don't want to paint. Nobody wants to paint. But really, the buyer doesn't want to paint. And that's going to kill it. And we can't go out in a dated condition. We need to really make sure that we're transitional, that a buyer can walk in and go turnkey. So the number one guardrail is the home must be in good condition. And I don't mean go some of the way. Now, let's be clear on the money part. Usually it costs between 5,000 and 12,000, max 15,000 to put a home in that condition. But the return on that investment is at least $100,000. So we're trying to get that extra 100, maybe 150,000. It's a 10-to-1 return on anything we put in that house. So the first guardrail is you really need to have an agent that says this paint needs to be painted. I had one agent go to our house, one of our listings I was competing with, and he said, "Well, Casey Samson is going to make you paint this house. I wouldn't recommend it." It was mustard. It was 2013 mustard, the brown color, and gold and yellow. Of course we're gonna paint it. That's not even a question. And seller even agreed. Of course. What are you talking about? See, agents don't want to confront sellers and anger sellers or alienate a seller. They're trying to get the listing. I think it looks fine. I think it looks fine. And let me tell you something. I wouldn't change it. In the old days with me, I wouldn't. Until Kelly walked in and said, "We're not selling a house looking like that." And Morgan and Colby walked in and said, "We're not selling a house looking like," and Billy, they're like, "We're not selling a house looking like this." They were disciplined enough to say, we got to fix this, right? So older agents will sometimes go path of least resistance. They won't stand for it. They're the 30s. They're the buyer pool. They are the ones. In fact, I walk out of the room when Morgan's going to, walk through or Kelly's going to walk. I'm not, you know, that yellow looks fine to me. It doesn't look good in pictures. It doesn't look good to buyers. It looks dated. So, so the first guardrail that we put in on every listing is we've got to do what it takes in order to be happy at settlement, not happy in the fix up. In fact, I'll be honest with you. I've had some sellers say, I hate the paint. I don't like the paint. They're 65 like me. I don't like it. The home sold at 150 grand over what we thought it was going to sell for. I'm like, do you like it now? Like, I still don't like the paint. Who cares about the paint? It's $150,000 in cash. We need that. So, whether people say I like it or I don't like it, it doesn't matter. We're not the buyers. The 30 somethings that walk in and turn the key to that house, they are the buyers. I will tell you that this weekend I had five houses. I had two houses over $2 million. I've just told you in Oakton, 15 or 21 out of 21 homes are sitting on the market unsold in this price range. Unsold. That's a lot of inventory. So here I come rolling in. I got a 2 million and a $2.5 million house, or a $2.25 million house. And I'm like, no problem. These are going under contract. Sure enough, both went under contract. Both were under over list price. One 100,000 over list price. Um, no home inspection, no contingency, no appraisal, none of that. And how can you be that confident that that's going to happen? Because of the six guardrails that we put in. So the first one, home prep. Again, I would say that 80% of the realtors won't have you do it because they don't want to anger the seller. Evidently, Morgan and Colby don't care whether they're angry or not. They just go in and tell them what they need to do in order to fix the house up, which I 100% agree with. The second thing, the second protocol that or guardrail that people have to put in is I'm the best pricer in Northern Virginia. I'm telling you, I'm such a stickler on prices. I've worked for 15 years on a model that can tell me exactly what that house is worth. But I don't know if that's where the current buyer pool is. I'm not even sure. So let me give you a perfect example. I have a house this weekend. It's worth $2.35 million. Just going to tell you that's what it's worth. I have no problem validating the number of 2.35 million. So I tell the seller the buyer pool is at 2.25. It's not at 2.35. We got to go to 2.25. That's where the buyer pool, because they set their search criteria, give me everything under 2 million, everything under 225, everything under 25, everything under 275. So we've got to hit that threshold. So I do, in this case, this weekend, I didn't. I already put it where I knew it had to be at 2215. But the house you're looking at right now, this is in Tapalingo. This home I was sure was going to sell for 1.9 million. So we tested 1.85. It didn't have anybody there. There was nobody there. So we had to move to 179. Was the seller upset? Yes. Was it hard to tell them I got to move to 179? Yes. Was that a conversation I wanted to have? No. But I knew that was in the best interest of the house. Yada, yada, yada. We put it on the market. We moved it to 1.79. Everybody decided to come to the house. We got $2 million contract, 200,000 over list price. So the predictive analysis will tell you. Now, let me give you an example. You do this during coming soon, 7 days of coming soon. You do the marketing, you do everything, then you read who's coming in. We had a big meeting with all the masterminds, and an agent said, "Well, I haven't sold one. It's sitting on the market." And Donnie said, "Did you do a predictive analysis? Did you go coming soon?" Yes, I went coming soon. I had one person coming to see it. The reason you do a predictive analysis is to tell you if only one person's coming to see it, you're at the wrong number. You've got to move the number. You need to have at least 7 or 8 people coming to walk through that house, depending on how nice it is. So the second guardrail is a predictive analysis. If you don't do it, if the agent's not talking about doing this, you got the wrong agent. And again, in this market, we can cover it. In Loudoun County, Ferris and Kelly can cover it, and Prince William, Johnny can cover it. But whoever you're talking to as a second or third agent, if they don't have a predictive analysis, they are not a qualified agent. They don't know where the market is. This is a monster, not just a slide. This is a monster. In a market like this, you may only have one buyer. If they have a home inspection in their contract, I will tell you that it takes about 4 hours to negotiate a contract. It takes 4 to 7 days to negotiate a home inspection. You got to sit 5 hours with a home inspector. They're going to pick the house apart. They're going to scare the living hell out of your buyer. There's going to be a massive amount. There's a 100-page, and you got to figure out what in that 100-page is good. You're going to ask the seller to fix. The seller's going to tell you to go pound sand. They're not going to do anything. You got to fight, 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 fight. Everybody's going to walk away at least 5 times. Everybody's going to walk away 5 times. Most stressful thing about a sale is not the contract, it's the home inspection. You either win or lose. Is it good news or bad news? If it's bad news, go find another house. But a home inspection, it can ruin a vacation. It can ruin a special day. It can ruin your life for 4 to 7 days. And then 30% of the contracts will walk away. They can't come to an agreement. Their feelings are hurt. Sellers' feelings are hurt. Buyers are going to walk. That is a guardrail. That is a critical guardrail that every home, let me give you a perfect example. We bought two, one for $3 million and one for $3.5 million. They didn't have home inspections. We did. I don't worry about my listings. They've all been home inspected. I don't have any inspections on my listings. But they didn't. And we have fought for 7 days on each deal with both sellers, buyers threatening to walk away 5 times. It is absolutely 100% malpractice to not do a listing with a home inspection. I'm just telling you. Malpractice. It puts the deal at risk, puts the seller at risk, because let's say we don't agree and the seller has to take his home, it's been off the market for 2 weeks, put it back on market. They're going to lose a lot of money. I mean, they're going to lose a lot of money. Once a home fails their home inspection, that's a problem. So you see, you put the seller at risk of knowing that if you go back on the market, you're really not going to. And this is why 40% of the homes withdraw unsold. They just can't do it. They say, screw it. That's what's going to happen. It's 40%. So the home inspection is the key to all of this. The guardrail of doing a home inspection first. If your agent, listing agent you're talking to is not recommending a home inspection, they are just disqualified. Period. That's how important this is. It's critical because a home inspection allows a buyer to walk away for any reason. Cooler house comes on the market. Their wife and are bickering and think that they spent too much money on the house. They could walk for whatever reason. Whatever reason. Stock market crashes, they walked. Stock market or interest rates go up a little bit, they walked. Oh, we're gonna have a thing. Anytime somebody gets nervous about the market, they could walk during that period. When you sign a contract with our listings, if you have an inspection, that contract is done. It's going to settlement. We're not going to talk about all this. We're not going to have a big inspection. So one of the major guardrails in today's market is 100% a home inspection. And if you're talking to an agent, they're not recommending it or don't have a home inspector that does it, you need another agent. That's the third, in my opinion, one of the most important guardrails of all, because that can wipe out everything. See how every one of these is so critical that you can't not prepare a house for sale. You can't not do a predictive analysis. You can't not do a home inspection, because any one of those could blow your deal up. Marketing. Let's talk marketing. So everybody in your market is going to see your house. Everybody. Okay. You need to have a marketing strategy that takes people that are looking for homes in more expensive markets. Let's take mine, for example. I'm in Vienna. Well, homes in McLean cost $500,000 more than my homes in Vienna. So if I could find, and I can, and we do, find the people looking for this price house in McLean and introduce them to this house, Find everybody looking for a home and Zillow that is this price range, and show them this on their Wall Street Journal feed, their Facebook, Instagram. You know how it is. You look for shoes, boom, shoe ads are everywhere. We can find that. So the marketing that's going out is not only the 100% of the people looking for the house, it's the 50% of the people that are looking somewhere else in a more expensive area and coming in to pull. Now, with that said, with that said, there's a company out there, Compass, and they're talking about exclusive listings. We're going to take it to our top agents and they're all going to take a look at it. They are responsible for about 2.5%. They sell 2.5% of their own listings, 2.5%. So why would a seller, instead of going like this, go like this and just shave out 2.5% and do what's called an exclusive listing behind the scenes to these agents? I smell a massive lawsuit. And the reason is this contract could be $150,000 less than this contract. And I can prove it. So if an agent walks in and says the word exclusive listing to their people, you need to get them out of your house. Because the job of a realtor is to expose your house to a max amount. So one of the guardrails is we've got to work to get more people in the house that are looking in more expensive areas. That's basically why you hire a realtor. That's why you hire the good ones. So if they say exclusive, run like hell. If they don't do an inspection, run like hell. If they say your price is fine with me and there's no way of testing it, you need to run like hell. If they say your house is fine and you got yellow paint or mustard paint or dark paint or paint that's not within the last 2 years, and I don't even mean within the last 2 years. I mean, we've literally walked in houses and they've just been painted the wrong color. The wrong color. Canary yellow. Can't sell a house with canary yellow. So those are the first four. Okay, there's six, but those are the first four. All right, let's see. Let's see if Julie is tracking me. Yes, she is tracking me. The contract negotiations, how are you going to handle this? And this can all be the guardrail is really one simple question. Do you allow escalation clauses? If the answer is yes, you need another realtor. If the answer is no, we will not allow it. We only do highest and best offers. Then they are a qualifying realtor to talk to about listing your home. If we call 9 out of 10 of the top brokers in Vienna or Oakton when we're presenting a contract and we say, can we put in a contract with an escalation clause to a person, they'll all say, absolutely. That's a terrible, terrible way to do it. What it does is it makes the other agents happy that they can come in with a contract and the buyer's happy. They can inch up a little bit over the other contracts. They can inch up, right? So let me give you an example. We had a home on Silkwood in Oakton in this trouble area. We put it on for $1.4 million. We only had one buyer. One contract came in. It came in for $1.4 million. It had an escalation clause. Now, we don't allow escalation clauses, but I only have one contract. So what am I going to do? So I talked to the agent. I'm trying to decide whether I say highest and best offer, no escalation, or just take the contract, ratify it. I call the agent. Agent's blab. The agent says, oh, yeah, they've lost 5 contracts. They really love this house. They have to have it. Tell us what it's going to take for us to do. I said, well, I can tell you what it's going to take. It's going to take your highest and best offer. And I need it by tomorrow by noon. I've told all the agents that I need your highest and best, that I need their highest and best offer tomorrow by noon, Monday. Okay. It comes back within an hour. If we offer 1.55 million and take out the home inspection, take out the financing contingency, take out the appraisal contingency, will you ratify our contract? Let me check with the seller. I think we can make that happen. It's like Fargo. Remember in Fargo where he walks in and he's a car salesman and he talks to his manager about the Gophers? And then he comes back and goes, well, he's never done this before, but he's willing to give you $100 credit, you know? So I feel like that. Like, well, let me check with the seller. They've never done this before, but they're willing to accept $150,000 over list price and no inspection and no home inspection, considering they don't have any other contracts and you're bidding against yourself. Yeah, we can take that. That's the difference between a highest and best contract negotiator and somebody that's willing to take an escalation clause. In that case, 150,000. But if I go back to the predictive analysis, see that house right there? The next highest bidder was in the 1.8s. It sold for $2 million. Sold for $2 million. The highest bid we had was in the high 1.8s. So they paid 125,000 over the next highest contract because they were coming from Rhode Island and they were looking in McLean, and somehow this showed up on their Instagram or Facebook or something like that, and they had to come see it. See how that works? So not only do we pull them from the predictive analysis, but we got them in the contract negotiation to bid because, to be honest with you, in McLean, that house is $2.4 million. And we pointed that out to them. Yeah, they're looking at McLean. Fine, let me show you what the houses are in McLean. This $2 million house is worth 2.4 in McLean. They wrote a contract for $2 million. No home inspection, no financing contingency, and for God's sakes, no appraisal. It would have appraised at about 1,875. Guardrail number 5 is contract negotiating. Do not talk to me about your company. Companies don't sell houses. Donnie, Samson Properties, my name's on it, should be proud of it. Will tell you they are number one in the whole DMV. DC, Maryland, Virginia. They're the number one brokerage in that. They're number 14 or 15 in the country. Couldn't care less when I'm doing a listing. I don't even mention Samson Properties in my listing presentation. That's between me and them. They don't charge me any commissions, so I can pass that savings on to my sellers. That's all they need to know. Donnie doesn't charge me anything. I pass it on to the sellers. They save money. Because in most relationships, Compass, Keller Williams, Long and Foster, you have to, part of the commission goes to the company. So that's what I call dead money. That's like Strasbourg money, right? We're paying money, we're not getting anything for it. So you're giving Strasbourg money to Long and Foster or Compass or whoever, Coldwell Banker, whatever. It's not going to help you sell your house. But I don't mention that. That's not even a part of my listing presentation. All I know is I can offer reasonable commissions to my sellers because I'm not giving money away to Samson Properties. That's all you need to know. So if people are talking in a listing about companies and not the 6 guardrails you need in today's market, you're talking to the wrong person. Let's see if Julie's got the last one. No banks. No banks. No banks. I can tell you that I have to get out of here and I have to go talk to a seller and a buyer over a $3.5 million deal that's going to blow up because a bank did not appraise it correctly. Now, let's talk about this. Banks. A bank needs to have 2 appraisals that come in. They're using appraisers from outside of the area, from a bank, an appraisal pool, if you will. And they don't care if it comes in high or low. They couldn't care, right? So a bank does a couple things. One, the 2 appraisers, one came in at the right number, one came in $100,000 less, and all hell broke loose, right? $100,000 off. Scared the heck out of the buyers. It's not worth what it's worth. It's worth less. An appraisal is extremely subjective, and you could send 10 appraisers out. If you didn't give them a contract, send 10 appraisers out. I'll bet they don't get within 10% of each other. They're all within 10%. But I mean, they certainly are not coming in with the same number. It's very subjective. So, but banks have certain rules that they deal with. And for a bank, it's a hobby. It's something to take care of their clients. They are banks. They are not mortgage companies. They're just banks. But they have clients that need mortgages. So in order for them to do this, it's really a secondary or whatever you would call a third choice for them that it is what it is, right? It's a service we offer our clients. The appraisals come in low. They change programs. If you want to talk to anybody, it's an 800 number. Ever talk to a bank on an 800 number? Yeah, it's a nightmare. So when I'm a listing agent, I don't want a bank. Don't bring in US Bank. Don't bring in Bank of America. Don't bring in JP Morgan. Don't bring in any of those, right? I need to have a professional mortgage expert. And that is, they come from one of really five main, what's called a correspondent lender. George Mason, Intercoastal, cross country. So these kind of lenders are professionals. They have in-house underwriting. This is what they do for a living. It's not a hobby for them. This is their profession. And they have the appraisers that will come in, bring one appraiser and make the number. If it's warranted, they'll make the number. They're not going to lie. But if it's come on, what's the difference between 3.34 and 3.44? Come on. It's ridiculous. So so we don't allow banks. So we don't allow them really when we're bringing people in. But to be honest with you, I don't mind having a buyer use a bank because the bank, let's say they walk in with, I'm struggling to get a home inspection released, and the bank shows up with a appraisal that's $100,000 light, low. Well, that gives us more negotiating power to try and get this done, right? So again, bank may be good for a buyer, very bad for a seller. And let me tell you another thing. If they walk in and they have an approval letter from a correspondent lender and they come back and say, hey, the appraisal's low. First of all, I don't really care because we don't have financing contingencies and I don't have appraisal contingencies if we followed the 6 guardrails. We don't have to worry about that, right? So think of this as, I know we've said this before, think of this as being in the express lanes. When you do it correctly, if you have 6 guardrails, you're going to get in the express lane and you're going 75 miles an hour and there's no traffic in the express lanes. But if you're over in the general population lanes, man, you got backups and holdups and traffic and people cutting you off, and it's a nightmare. The only reason I try and make a lot of money is I don't want to ever drive in that lane again. I want to be in the express lanes. I don't care what it costs. I like 75. I like no traffic. I like the buzz. I need to get where I need to get to. So 2 ways to go. One's the express lane. One's in backup traffic. Our guardrails keep our listings where it should be. If you're interviewing realtors that are backup realtors, they must have the 6 guardrails. If they talk about their company, get them out of there. How are you going to do the set up the house? And if they say current colors, that's your person. You want to, at least they're qualified. Predictive analysis, tell you where it should be before you even go launch. That's why all my listings sell before we launch them. That's locked. Predictive analysis. The other one is, what is the other one? Let me go back. Marketing. You do the predictive analysis. The home inspection, again, if they're not going to home inspect your house, you need another realtor. You need to have your home sale non-contingent. I don't care how nice your house is. Look, this afternoon or tomorrow, I'm going to put on the #1 house in Vienna. #1. It is the nicest house you're ever going to see. When it goes up, when my signs go up, everybody's going to go, oh my gosh, they're selling that house. Nobody can get into it because it's appointment only. You got to be able to afford a $3 million house before you walk in the door. It is so nice. It's gorgeous. But it's going to get an inspection. It has to. Because I don't want somebody to walk in and take a house like that and start inspecting it and picking it apart. And then the seller's going to get pissed. And they're not going to stand for it. And, because there's so much pride of ownership. There's $600,000 investment in the front, in just the yards, in just the landscaping of the yards. $600,000. So do you think they're going to have a problem with a home inspector telling them that something is not right, or this should be right, or this should be updated, or the HVAC is at or past its useful life? They're not. They're just not going to put up with that, right? So it's going to have to go through an inspection, right, and get that done. Marketing, if they don't have state-of-the-art marketing that's tagging people outside of the area and pulling them in, that's a non-qualified realtor. Contract negotiations, if they allow escalation clause, not a qualified realtor. Don't or will allow banks to bring in contracts on your house, that's a non-qualified realtor. So if you get all those qualifications, right? Fine. That's a qualified realtor. Let's duke it out on track record. But all I know is for the listing I'm looking at in Oakton, between 1.15, you can look it up on the computer. Just put in Oakton 1.5 million to $3 million. This is what you're going to see. They just closed. That's 1.65. They started at 2.1 million. They dropped it to 2 million. They dropped it to 1.9 million. They dropped it to they dropped it to $1,000 here, $100 here. Came back on the market in February, dropped it to that, sold for that. Folks, we call that the death spiral in my business. So let's be clear. Right now, we got to work a little harder. It turns out the family homes are maybe struggling a little bit this week. It changes by weeks. The big boys are all selling, right? So we need to work on that. But if you're going to sell a house in today's market, and again, when I look at 21 out of 21 houses failing, I know it's harsh, but I use the word real estate malpractice. I mean, I really do. If you don't inspect the house, I think you're doing your sellers a terrible disservice. If you can't price it right, if it sits on the market, if you can't generate a contract within the first 7 to 10 days, that's kind of a problem. You need to work on that. So, anyways, today I've gone over the 6 guardrails. This has been Coffee with Casey. Thank everybody for listening to these. I really appreciate it. It's very valuable information, but it's not valuable if nobody's listening. So if you're an agent at Samson and you follow this, please follow the instructions on this. Stay with the 6 guardrails. If you're a seller, make sure anybody you're talking to has the 6 guardrails, and behind those guardrails should be a track record. Okay. We show the track record of the $210 million that we sold and how fast it sells, and that it sells over list price. So the agent that you're talking to then would present you with, what is your track record? If you do all those 6 things, show me your track record. That is the qualifier. This is no time for Uncle Bob. This is no time for Uncle Bob. It's time to work with just real estate professionals. My name is Casey Samson, and this has been Coffee with Casey. You can call me at 703-508-2535 or casey@caseysamson.com. If you want to see a listing protocol, you can go to caseysamson.com, click on sellers, you get the whole thing. We'll see you again next week. Bye now.